The Chicago Bulls actually already looked great towards the end of last season, winning 15 of their last 20 regular season games. But whatever optimism came out of that was quickly erased by a blowout loss to the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament. Add in the fact that the Bulls only made one real roster change over the summer by trading Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro, and once again, the general basketball media didn't have much reason to believe that the 2026 Bulls would look any better than just another play-in team. But fast forward to the brand new season, and the Bulls are currently sitting atop the Eastern Conference with a 6-1 win-loss record. They've defeated Detroit, Orlando, Atlanta, New York, and Philadelphia, teams that were expected to be better than them in the Eastern Conference. And the thing is, none of those wins actually look like flukes. As of the time of this video's recording, Chicago has the NBA's 6th best offensive rating, 12th best defensive rating, and the 7th best net rating so far this season. And they're actually doing this even with injuries to their best on-ball scorer Coby White and their 2nd best big man Zach Collins. Well, it might be safe to say that this Chicago Bulls team could be the biggest surprise of the NBA so far, but during the preseason in one of my videos, I already talked about how I thought this team would look drastically different this year, because dating back to last season, there were already signs that this roster's identity was having a massive internal shift. Specifically, after the Zach LaVine trade, the Bulls built themselves back up around the fast-paced yet methodical and highly instinctual playmaking of Josh Giddey, which happens to also pair really well with the hard-charging athleticism of then-rookie modest Buzelis. The team has carried that dynamic with them heading into the new season, and so far, the results have been a headache for opposing teams, as Chicago's been pushing the pedal to the metal in every possession, constantly hunting for transition opportunities, sharing the ball like crazy, and attacking with waves of fresh bodies every game. Head coach Billy Donovan is playing around 10 to 11 guys every single night, and the team plays the same 5-out type of offense for all 48 minutes, with a roster that's got just enough shooting to maintain scoring consistency across all possible lineup combinations, that's also got enough athletic perimeter defenders from top to bottom. So what's good everyone, it's Real Balls here, and today, let's talk about how the vibes have been so good in Chicago right now, and why the NBA should be paying attention to the Bulls' early season success. Let's get to it. One defining quality of this Chicago Bulls team is that they don't really have one glaring superstar player on the roster. In fact, only Coby White was rated in ESPN's top 100 list over the summer, coming in at number 71. So far this season, no one in the Chicago Bulls team ranks in the top 30 of usage rate in the entire NBA. And with no obligation to get any player a certain number of shots, Chicago currently ranks 1st in assists per game and 3rd in passes made per game in the entire league. They also have the league's 2nd shortest average time per touch, while also playing with the 5th fastest average speed by any team. In short, the ball doesn't really stick or stagnate ever in the Chicago offense, and it's helping the entire team play in rhythm. Well, sure, with guards like Josh Giddey and Tre Jones, who are both notoriously good transition playmakers, with Ayo Dosumnu, who's just a total wrecking ball in the fast break, and with a hyper-athletic open-floor threat in modest Buzelis, it's not surprising that Chicago currently ranks 1st in the NBA in terms of transition points per game, while also posting the 3rd best scoring efficiency out of those transition plays. But the thing is, even in the half-court, the Bulls seem to treat their offensive sets like they're in transition. Against set defenses, the Bulls employ a ton of quick twitch actions using ball screens, handoffs, cuts, and quick trigger passes in an offense wherein players' roles are almost interchangeable. In this possession, you can see Vucevic setting up Kevin Huerter on the handoff. Huerter tries to probe Sacramento's zone, but on the wing, it only takes a split second of Schroeder turning his head for Josh Giddey to take advantage of the cutting lane. Giddey dives right into the paint, Huerter feeds him with a quick dime, and at this point, all Westbrook can do is foul Giddey as he finishes the reverse and one. This time, the possession starts with Giddey in early offense. He sets up Vucevic on the trail, but simultaneously, Huerter already finds a gap on the baseline. So seeing this, instead of shooting the three-pointer, Vuce makes the smart entry pass to Huerter, who's already in position for the easy finish. For Chicago, one obvious byproduct of this kind of offense is that it not only promotes ball movement, but also a lot of player movement, which in turn empowers Bulls players to take a lot of shots at the basket. In fact, this season, 35.5% of the Bulls shot attempts have come at the rim, and that is the highest mark in the entire NBA. And while they only rank 29th in terms of field goal percentage at the rim, Chicago's 62.8% shooting efficiency on those shots is still just 1.2 percentage points below the league average. And in the end, because of their huge shooting volume from that area, the Bulls still lead the NBA in points scored in the paint per game. So basically, the Bulls are just getting a ton of free, easy, and efficient points near the basket. But what's even more interesting, I think, is that so far, Chicago averages the second most drives per game in the NBA, but those drives aren't always necessarily meant to end in shots, as the Bulls pass out of a drive 45.3% of the time, also the second highest frequency in the entire league. Most notably, the Bulls also average the fewest isolations per game in the entire NBA at just 3.2 per contest. Instead of simply generating offense out of standstill possessions, it's very noticeable how the Bulls bring energy out of the ball by finding open teammates, which in turn empowers everyone on the floor to act decisively, whether to dribble, pass, or shoot. In this possession, Josh Giddey runs a ball screen play with Jalen Smith, resulting in the initial drive, but with a tight pick-and-roll defense, Giddey decides to kick it out to Dosumnu. Now, as Dosumnu attacks the closeout, Giddey relocates to the corner, and as the defense collapses in the paint, Ayo makes the smart read, dishing out the timely pass, leading to a tough contested three-point make by Giddey. Here, in the Bulls' final possession of the game, Giddey uses the high ball screen from Herter to attack the paint. Giddey's gravity forces the weak side rotation from Joel Embiid, which leaves Vucevic open in the corner. Giddey makes the sling pass, and by the time the ball reaches the hands of Vucevic, the closeout's already too late, as Vuce has already got enough airspace to launch the game-winning three-pointer. On a team without a quote-unquote superstar, the Chicago Bulls have embraced a strength in numbers approach. Obviously, Josh Giddey still has the highest usage rate on the team at 27.6%, which is a top 35 mark in the NBA, and rightfully so. Giddey's basically in an all-star trajectory by being the only player this season to average at least 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists while shooting at least 40% from deep. But that doesn't mean that the ball sticks in his hands too much or that he stalls the offense in the half-court, as Giddey often makes head-to-head passes that gets the Bulls running up and down the floor, and he also usually attacks the basket early in the possession when defenses aren't even set. Meanwhile, Nikola Vucevic has been sort of reborn in the Chicago offense as an elite shooter from the center position. Last season, Vuce has made 40% of his three-pointers and is off to another hot start, shooting 48% from deep on solid volume this season. He's been deadly as a trailer, taking open shots when the Bulls get running. His floater game has also looked automatic since being freed from playing with Levine and DeRozan, and has also become so important as a playmaking hub out of handoffs. The big revelation for the Bulls so far, though, has been Tre Jones. He's a small lead guard who's kinda reluctant to shoot three-pointers, but Jones is a solid driver and a great passer who also feels like Chicago's best shot creator when the game slows down in the half-court. He can keep his dribble alive in tight spaces while keeping his head up to find open teammates, but has also got enough scoring juice to punish the defense himself when he gets an opening. Meanwhile, second-year player Buzelis is the team's biggest reason for long-term optimism, and so far, Buzelis is low-key starting to put together a real breakout season. He's averaging 15 points and 1 block per game on solid 46, 42, and 82% shooting splits. As a bouncy, athletic 6'10" forward, Buzelis can block shots at a high rate on defense, but he can also knock down spot-up threes in the offensive end. But more importantly, Modest is also starting to show signs of effective on-ball shot creation in the half-court as a ball handler in the pick-and-roll. Then, off the bench, Ayo Dosumnu has been helping the offense with his downhill speed and ability to knock down three-pointers. Kevin Huerter has been empowered to become a much-needed volume three-point shooter and secondary ball handler in Coby White's absence. Patrick Williams is also starting to shape-shift into a starting-caliber forward, while players like Jalen Smith, Isaac Okoro, Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, and Javon Carter are all playing into the system, even with up-and-down performances. But for all the praise towards the Bulls' offense, it's actually their defense that's really exceeded expectations so far. While some would argue that Chicago's number 12 ranked defense could be a product of some opponent's shooting luck, as so far this season, Chicago's opponents have made only 33.8% of their outside shots, which is the 6th worst mark in the entire NBA. But then there's also the fact that the Bulls have limited opponents to just 32.5 three-point attempts per game, which is also the 4th fewest in the entire league. It will be interesting to track if the Bulls can limit three-point attempts all year and if the low percentage they allow is just pure sample size luck or not, but for now, the fact that this team is defending on a string in a way that's so connected is honestly impressive, especially given their lack of elite rim protectors and lack of high-level perimeter stoppers on paper. This right here is a perfect example of the Bulls' defensive execution. In this Pistons ball screen play, you can see how well Vucevic contains Cunningham at the level of the screen. Meanwhile, in the paint, Buzelis provides ample help on the roll man. This forces Cade to make the kick out to the corner, but then watch Giddey rotate on Buzelis' man, while Buzelis X's out to take on Giddey's man. Tobias Harris tries to outwork Buzelis on the drive, but Giddey makes the quick stunt, again forcing Detroit to reset the possession. Now in the post, watch how Okoro fights for position to deny any potential entry pass to Cunningham. In the end, Duncan Robinson is just forced to run a ball screen play, which Modest perfectly covers on the switch. A second ball screen from Duran comes, but with the shot clock about to run out, Vucevic smartly blitzes the ball, leaving Duncan Robinson with no choice but to launch a well-defended three-pointer. Well, it's hard to say if the Chicago Bulls are already good enough to be a top 4 seed right now because the team still lacks elite scoring talent and also partially because of the small sample size we're looking at. But at the same time, with Boston and Indiana set up for gap years without their injured superstars, someone's bound to rise in the Eastern Conference, and Chicago's breakneck type of playstyle seems built to win games at least for the regular season. And more importantly, Billy Donovan has obviously got the whole team buying into the game plan as the Bulls have now won 21 of their last 28 games dating back to last season. Sure, some fans would rather see this team lose in order for them to potentially increase their odds at landing top talent in a stacked 2026 draft, but then if you come to think of it, losing by design doesn't have the same chance of success it used to have before the lottery reform started in 2019. And while it feels impossible to fully trust Arturas Karnisovas, I just can't criticize him too much without crediting his few successes as well. He's been smart enough to pay Josh Giddey what is due, he's retained Tre Jones for cheap, and his selections of Modest Buzelis and Noah Isengwe in the draft give Chicago more high upsides while building through the middle. Again, the Bulls still don't have a superstar for now, and that could limit their ceiling in terms of winning in the playoffs. But whether that next definitive star comes in the form of Josh Giddey, Modest Buzelis, or someone else, what we know for sure is that right now, this team has definitely found comfort in embracing a starless approach. And with that, it really shouldn't be surprising to see the Bulls break into the top 6 of the playoff picture, especially in a down year for the Eastern Conference. Most importantly, this isn't the same old, overpaid, and analytically problematic Bulls team we're used to seeing the past couple seasons, and that should give Chicago fans something to really be optimistic about moving forward. But how far can the Chicago Bulls really go this season? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this has been Real Balls, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.